Stop everything. Because the penny you're about to hear about has quietly made ordinary people rich. I'm talking about a 1960 D. Lincoln Memorial penny that looks just like the loose change in your drawer, yet in the right version, it has sold for thousands of dollars, and in ultra-rare forms has become a true hidden treasure with life-changing value. Yes, a single brown little cent, minted in Denver, has shocked the entire coin world. Here's the mystery. In 1960, the U.S. Mint was rushing. America was booming, coins were needed fast, and quality control was stretched thin. Denver was striking millions of pennies every day, and that's when mistakes slipped through. Those mistakes were never supposed to leave the mint, but they did. They went into circulation, mixed with normal pennies, and today they are still being spent without anyone realizing what they really are. And that's why this story is so powerful, because your next penny could be big money. Let me show you what to look for. First, grab any penny dated 1960. Then look under the date. If you see a small D, that means it was struck at the Denver Mint. That little D is your golden ticket. The 1960 D had several secret varieties, and one of them is so rare that collectors fight over it. The most famous one is the 1960 D small date asterisk asterisk variety, TO the naked eye. It looks like a normal penny. But under magnification, the zero in 1960 is smaller and more oval-shaped, and the numbers sit slightly higher. This was caused by the mint switching dies mid-year. Only a fraction of the Denver coins were struck this way. In circulated condition, a 1960 D small date might be worth $20 to $50. But in high-grade mint condition, these have sold for $3,000 to over $5,000. That's not pocket change. That's life-changing value. But now here comes the shocker. There is an even rarer version called the 1960 D small date over large date. That means the small date was struck over an older large date design, creating a ghost-like double date. You can actually see two different zero shapes layered on top of each other. Only a handful of these are known. One certified example sold for more than $10,000 at auction. $10,000 from a penny someone once ignored. Now let's go deeper, because this is where the hidden treasure gets real. Some 1960 D pennies were struck with double die errors. This means the die that stamped the coin was misaligned and impressed the design twice. Look closely at Liberty, In God We Trust, and Lincoln's Eye and Beard. If you see thick, doubled letters or a shadow-like effect, you might be holding a true double die error. These coins have sold for $300 to $1,500, depending on how strong the doubling is. And the more dramatic the doubling, the bigger the big money. But wait, it gets crazier. There are also 1960 D pennies struck on the wrong metal. Most pennies should be copper-colored and weigh about 3.11 grams. But a few were mistakenly struck on foreign planchets or experimental blanks. If your penny looks pale, silvery, or unusually light or heavy, don't spend it. A 1960 penny struck on the wrong metal has sold for over $8,000. That's not luck. That's a life-changing value hiding in plain sight. Now here's another jaw-dropping fact. Some 1960 D pennies have off-center strikes where part of Lincoln or the date is missing. These happen when the blank is not properly centered during striking. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more collectors pay. A strong off-center 1960 D penny can sell for $200 to $2,000. Still just a penny, but now it's big money. And there's more. Some 1960 D cents were struck with clipped planchets asterisk asterisk, meaning a chunk of the coin is missing from the edge because the metal sheet was cut incorrectly. These coins look like someone took a bite out of them, and collectors love them. Depending on the size of the clip, these can bring $100 to $1,000. This is why collectors call the 1960 D penny a hidden treasure factory. Now let me tell you a true auction story that will give you chills. A collector in the United States once bought a roll of old pennies at a flea market for just $5. Inside that roll was a 1960 D small date in near-perfect condition. He sent it to be graded, and it came back. MS-67 red. That single penny sold for over $6,000. $5 into $6,000. That's the definition of life-changing value. So how do you know if your 1960 D penny is special? Here's your checklist. Look at the date. It must say 1960. Look for the D mint mark under the date. Check if the date looks small and compact. That's the small date. Use a magnifier to look for doubling in the letters and Lincoln's face. Weigh the coin. If it's not around 3.11 grams, it could be a wrong planchet error. Look at the rim. If it's uneven, clipped, or stretched, that could be big money. And always remember, condition matters. A bright red, shiny 1960 D penny is worth far more than a dark, worn one. That's why some are worth a few dollars and others are worth thousands. Right now, there are people unknowingly spending these coins every day. Cashiers, kids, collectors, and even banks are releasing hidden treasure back into circulation. And one of those coins could be in your hand tonight. So before you toss that penny aside, before you spend it, before you ignore it, look again. Because the next 1960 D. Lincoln Memorial penny you touch could be big money. It could be a hidden treasure, and it could carry a truly life-changing value. Check your jars. Check your rolls. Check your old collections. And if you want to keep discovering coins that can turn ordinary people into winners, subscribe right now, because the next coin I reveal might be worth even more than this one.
Stop scrolling right now, because the next coin I'm about to tell you about has turned pocket change into big money. And if you've ever touched a quarter in your life, you could be holding a hidden treasure without even knowing it. I'm talking about the 1970 Washington quarter, a coin so misunderstood, so mysterious, that the right one could be worth hundreds, thousands, and in extreme cases, truly life-changing value. Here's the part that gives collectors chills. In 1970, America was in transition. Silver coins were disappearing from circulation. The U.S. Mint was under pressure, and mistakes were happening behind closed doors. The public never knew it at the time, but some 1970 quarters should not exist the way they do. And when coins exist that were never supposed to exist, collectors pay insane money. Most people think the 1970 quarter is boring. They see George Washington. They see the eagle on the back, and they spend it without a second thought. That's exactly why this coin is dangerous. The value isn't obvious. The value hides in the details. And those details have created hidden treasure stories that still shock the coin world today. Let me tell you about a collector who bought a small bag of old quarters at a flea market for almost nothing. He noticed one 1970 quarter looked just slightly different, slightly heavier, slightly wrong. He sent it for grading, and that single coin later sold for over $8,000. One quarter. That's big moan hiding in plain sight. Now listen carefully, because this is where you need to slow down and learn how to identify the valuable ones. First, check the date. It must say 1970. Then look just below Washington's neck on the front. Do you see a mint mark? If there's no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. If there's a D, it came from Denver. If there's an S, now your heart rate should go up, because San Francisco strikes are where the real mystery begins. Most 1970 S quarters were proof coins, never meant for circulation, but a small number escaped into the wild. Proof quarters have mirror-like fields and razor-sharp details. If you find a 1970 S quarter that looks unusually shiny, reflective, and sharp, you could be staring at life-changing value. Proof examples in top condition have sold for $3,000 to over $6,000 at major auctions. But now let's talk about the error that makes collectors lose their minds. The 1970 quarter struck on a silver planchet. By 1970, quarters were supposed to be copper-nickel clad. No silver. Zero. But leftover silver blanks from 1964 and earlier somehow made their way into the presses. When that happened, history was created. A genuine 1970 quarter struck on a silver planchet weighs more and has a solid silver edge with no visible copper stripe. One verified example sold for over $10,500 at auction. That is not hype. That is documented big money. Here's how you can check yours at home. Look at the edge of the coin. A normal clad quarter shows a copper-colored stripe. A silver planchet quarter does not. It looks solid silver all the way through. That single detail can mean the difference between 25 cents and a life-changing value. Now, let me reset your attention with another shocker. Double die errors. On some 1970 quarters, the letters and numbers appear doubled, especially in God We Trust, Liberty, or the date itself. These are not machine damage. These are mint errors created during the die-making process. Strong double-die 1970 quarters have sold for $500 to $2,500, depending on clarity and condition. And it doesn't stop there. Off-center strikes from 1970 are highly collectible. If Washington's face is pushed toward the edge, or part of the design is missing entirely, that's not damage. That's an error. Dramatic off-center 1970 quarters have brought $300 to $1,200 at auction. Now let me tell you about clip planchets. These coins look like someone took a bite out of them. In reality, it's a metal cutting error at the mint. A clean, curved clip on a 1970 quarter can easily sell for $200 to $800, sometimes more if paired with another error. And here's one that almost nobody checks. Rim errors. Look closely at the edge of the coin. Is the rim uneven, missing, or thicker on one side? Some 1970 quarters were struck with partial or missing rims, and collectors pay serious big money for these strange survivors of mint chaos. Auction records prove this isn't fantasy. A high-grade 1970 D quarter with a major error sold through a well-known auction house for nearly $4,000, another 1970. S-proof error crossed $6,500 after intense bidding. These aren't myths. These are real sales creating real wealth. And here's the most dangerous part of this story. These coins are still out there. They are still being found in old collections, inherited jars, and forgotten drawers. That's why this quarter is a true hidden treasure. The supply is unknown. The demand is growing. And every year, prices climb higher. If you're holding a 1970 Washington quarter, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't assume it's worthless. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the color. Study the edge. Feel the weight. One tiny difference can mean the difference between spare change and life-changing value. Right now, somewhere, someone is unknowingly spending a coin that could change their life. Don't let that be you. After this video, go check your quarters. Check your parents' coins. Check old jars, albums, and drawers. And here's the cliffhanger. Because the next coin I'm covering has an even darker mystery and even bigger auction records than this one. If you don't want to miss the next big money coin hiding in plain sight, hit subscribe right now, because your hidden treasure might be closer than you think.